After 14 long, familyless years, I can finally say that this week I watched The Incredibles 2. Like the name implies, The Incredibles 2 is the long-awaited sequel to Brad Bird's 2004 smash hit, The Incredibles. Much like its predecessor, this movie focuses on the Pars, a family of superheroes, but this time trying to balance the regaining of the public's trust along with their civilian life. Throw in some twists, turns, and more superpowers than you can shake a stick at, and you've got yourself one heck of a movie. With this movie kicking off mere seconds after the ending of the original Incredibles, part of me would have applauded the guts it would have taken for Pixar to make this movie using the same rigs and models from the first movie, and see what they could have done with them. However, I'm much happier that they updated the film from head to toe in all of the best ways. Now, while there are minor changes to each character due to the advancement in character creation and animation in the last 14 years, they aren't at all noticeable unless you look at a comparison image side by side, which clearly isn't part of the movie itself, so I won't judge. I really appreciate Pixar doing what they could do to make this at least feel like a sequel that came out only a few years later, as opposed to over the decade that we have. While sadly many CG characters today do tend to look kinda samey, the Parr family avoided all of that and still looks like the Parr family did back in 2004, but this time just a much higher quality, character imperfections and all. From the amazing animation down to seeing tiny fibers of clothing, this movie really is quite the looker. To make a personal tie-in connection with this, it's a lot of fun returning to something years later and tackling it with new knowledge and skills. Fairly recently, I had the opportunity to do this with Hulu's release of Season 2 of The Doozers. While only 4 years between the seasons, it was fun to come back and try and make it look like it hadn't actually been that long. If you're curious to see what I do for a living, go on Hulu and check out Doozers. It's a fun little kids show. Now, with talking about myself out of the way, let's get back to the movie. When it comes to the superhero genre, 2018 has a completely different landscape than what it was in 2004. The Incredibles 2 is releasing at a time when we're getting countless superhero movies annually, where the first one premiered several years before the MCU ever began, and superhero flicks were much more of a rarity. What I'm saying is, you had to do a lot more in this one to stand out than you did in the first one. With such a strong focus on the day-to-day life of being a parent and raising superhero children, I think even if you're getting a little tired of the genre, this movie brings more than enough different to the table, along with some genuinely cute and funny moments throughout, that it certainly stands out from all of the other superhero movies being released. While I'm still undecided as to which of the two movies I prefer in the series, currently I'm still leaning on the first one, The Incredibles 2 is easily one of the higher ranking Pixar movies for me, and to fans of animation and superheroes alike, this is certainly a must-watch. The movie mostly stands pretty well on its own, but if you're worried about that, let me take a quick second and recommend seeing the first one too. They work amazingly being watched back to back.